Hello, welcome to Sports News Africa, the home of Africa's sporting conversation. Let's take a look at the headlines. 3 defeats and pointless leaves Ethiopians frustrated with the AFCON qualifiers. Cameroon's indomitable Lions fail to get past Sierra Leone's defense and settle for a point. And Morocco waits eagerly to see whether CAF will consider its request to postpone a major tournament. Thank you for joining us. I'm Temeskin Devasai. Having lost to both Algeria and Malawi in its first 2 qualifiers for the Africa Cup of Nations finals, Ethiopia hosted Mali in Addis Ababa with the hope of getting its campaign underway. But it was another frustrating afternoon for the hosts, with Mali leaving the Ethiopian capital with all 3 points, piling further misery on coach Mariano Barreto and his team.
Thousands of Ethiopian football fans turned out for the highly anticipated Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers match between their national side, the Walia Ibex, and Mali on Saturday. After kickoff, what started off as a possible outright victory for Ethiopia quickly turned into frustrations for fans as their national side went down 2-0 to the North Africans. Having lost to Algeria, then Malawi, the Mali beatdown sent the Horn of Africa country to the bottom of Group B with no points, adding more woes on coach Mariano Barreto, who had hours before the match dropped 4 key players. Many fans expressed their dissatisfaction with the Walia Ibex performance, while others criticized the coach. We were defeated because of lack of patriotism. I feel if they really love their country, then we would have fought to win this game. The biggest problem of our national team is that it has no strategy at all.
This team almost qualified for the World Cup last year. We have played with African giants like Nigerian team and showed a good performance. And now it is very embarrassing to see the same team not qualifying for the AFCON. We should have improved, not become worse. Something should be done. This is very frustrating.
The
Ethiopian national team was totally dominated on this match by Mali. The main reason for the defeat is that the midfield area was controlled by Mali players, and the new tactics which we were playing helped Malian team rather than our national team. When I compare this game with the match we had with Algeria, we played worse in this one.
Hussein Abkul Kadir, a sports analyst, said the coach's decision to drop 4 key players from the lineup was a major blunder.
Adana Algeria ule 11 ውስጥ ነበር የማላዊ ላይ 11 ውስጥ ነበር የማሊ ጨዋታ ግን
We have seen how the absence of most experienced players from the squad affected the team on Saturday's match. An experienced midfield player like Adan Girma, who was in the squad during the match against Algeria and Malawi, was dropped ahead of this match. The coach is in trouble for this decision.
ልጁ ችግር ሊኖርበት ይችላል ሊፈጠር ልምድ ግን ትልቅ ቦታ አለው
Having conceded 7 goals so far in the ongoing qualifiers, the odds are stacked up against Ethiopia as their chances of qualifying continue to dwindle. Ethiopia play Mali on Wednesday in Bamako.
Sierra Leone hosted Cameroon in the AFCON qualifiers, and the hosts went on to hold the indomitable Lions to a scoreless draw. Sierra Leone's request to host the game in Cameroon was accepted by the latter's Football Association, as the Leone Stars are currently not allowed to play at home due to the Ebola outbreak.
The Sierra Leone national football team, the Leone Stars, are in high spirits after their goalless draw against Cameroon's indomitable Lions on Saturday. in the ongoing 2015 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. But all is not well in the Sierra Leone camp, as in-house wrangles between the Sports Ministry and the Sierra Leone Football Association threaten to spill over and affect the team's chances of qualifying for the 2015 Morocco Games. Last month, both the Sports Ministry and the Football Association appointed Ato Mensah to coach the team after Irish Johnny McKinstry was sacked over the team's 2-0 defeat by DR Congo and 2-1 loss to Ivory Coast in the ongoing AFCON qualifiers. But earlier this month, that decision was quickly recanted by the Football Association itself, who hurriedly appointed John Sese to head the team, arguing that Ato Mensah did not have qualifications to coach the team. During a candid interview in Yaoundé, Coach Sese said the wrangles are between the Sports Ministry and the Football Association, but not between the two coaches.
Well, ironically, the other guys appointed by the minister, we are close friends. We played together in the national team. For us, we don't think there's any problem. Yeah, and I believe with the results, tempers supposed to cool down. The row is supposed to finish, but we hope and pray that it's over.
Mensah was forced to step aside for Sese just hours before the team travelled to Cameroon for Saturday's game.
To be honest with you, we were appointed by the Football Federation. And to get the record straight, the minister is not here in Cameroon. So there was no need to shake his hand because he was not here.
Nonetheless, the Leone Stars played an impressive game against the indomitable Lions on Saturday, holding them to a goalless draw. However, they still remain at the bottom of Group D. Umaru Bangura, the Sierra Leone team captain, is confident his team will do better on Wednesday's return match.
We're a good team. We came here to get results. And we go to the field to show that we are a good team and we can get results. So I think we have a lot of quality players in this group, and at least every time we go to the field we are one player as a team, so we can hope to get anything good out of any kind of circumstance.
For now, as the Sports Ministry and the Football Association fight over who should lead the team, Coach Sese is focused on leading the team to Morocco.
High expectations, we've done it, we can still do it. But we cannot count out the Cameroonians. For me, they are still the hot favourites. But we can spring a surprise as we did on Saturday.
The Leone Stars have been forced to play their home match in Yaoundé due to the Ebola virus outbreak. Sierra Leone is one of the hardest hit countries by the worst outbreak of the virus in history. Bangura said this was a major setback for the team.
Well, you can see it's very difficult for country because, you know, in this kind of qualification, when you play home, you get your strength. So if you cannot play home, it's very difficult for those kind of country who play all their games away. So, but you know, it's football. It's because of the Ebola situation. That's how the situation happened like this. But it's difficult. But we can show to people that we have a good team and we have a quality player, and we can do it even when we are not playing at home.
Sierra Leone is in Group D alongside Cameroon, who are at the top of the group with 7 points. Ivory Coast are second with 6 points, while DR Congo are third with 3 points. Sierra Leone trails with 1 point.
Meanwhile, the Africa Cup of Nations hosts Morocco say they have not made a definite decision on how to respond should organisers, the Confederation of African Football, reject their request to postpone the continental showcase. CAF has already hinted out that they have no plans to reschedule next year's tournament over fears of the Ebola outbreak, but an official response is imminent in the coming weeks.
Last week, Morocco called on the biennial event starting in January to be delayed in a bid to prevent the spread of Ebola, which has claimed the lives of over 4,000 people. CAF responded by insisting the 16-nation 3-week competition would go ahead as scheduled. Morocco's sports minister, Mohamed Ouzine, said his country has asked CAF to postpone the tournament in the wake of WHO warnings over the spread of the Ebola virus.
Alors c'est une demande qui a été essentiellement motivée par le dernier rapport élaboré par le présenté.
This demand is motivated essentially by the last report from the World Health Organization, which contained alarming numbers at the extent and spread of the Ebola virus. Also, in the projections in the coming months, the propagation will reach 20,000 people. It makes us face our historic responsibility and questions our organization of the AFCON. We don't have any visibility regarding the development of the virus. We've arranged to meet up and discuss the technical options connected to this demand for a postponement.
Ouzine said he had not been surprised at CAF's initial rejection, but went on to say they remain undecided over their next move.
This decision doesn't depend on us. It's a sovereign decision by CAF. We're at this point today asking for a delay, which we will discuss later. That's all. We'll see fans coming to support their teams, and they're going to be maybe 100,000, 200,000 or 300,000 or even more. We are not equipped for that, and I can't see other countries being able to ensure checks and controls for such a large number either.
Je vois mal le pays qui est aussi aujourd'hui pour pouvoir assurer le suivi, la sécurité et le contrôle d'un nombre aussi important que ça.
CAF's executive committee are due to discuss Morocco's request at a meeting in Algiers on November the 2nd. The Nations Cup is scheduled to be held in the North African country from January 17th to February 8th.
Welcome back to Sports News Africa. South Africa is on the brink of qualifying for the finals of the Africa Cup of Nations, and in some style. The team has not conceded a single goal in the current qualifiers campaign, and there is a sense of anticipation from fans that this could be the start of a new chapter in the revival of South African football. And joining us on the line now is former international defender Matthew Booth, who also captained South Africa at the Olympics in 2000 under current national coach Shakes Mashaba. Matthew, South Africa remain undefeated so far in the qualifiers, and they are yet to concede their first goal. Is this the beginning of the much-anticipated revival of Bafana-Bafana?
Yes, well, certainly, from 1996, we've been on a steady decline, to be honest, as a footballing nation, and it's been of great concern. So, we've hit rock bottom of late, and, for the likes of Shakes Mashaba, who's been involved in our youth development, to come in and change around the fortunes in such a short space of time, should I say, is quite remarkable. And hats off to him for having done that.
What is Shakes Mashaba adding to the team where previous coaches have failed?
Yeah, look, I've played under Shakes at youth level, so I know him quite well. And he is not a particular tactician of note, but what he does do is he gets the players or the squad to really play for him, and he's a very personable fellow, fatherly figure. And, he's included a lot of young players in his squad. So I think half the job as a coach is to get players to play for you. And we quite simple people, footballers, very basic. And, we don't need too many technical aspects in our head. I think emotion and physical readiness are the main attributes that he brings to the team.
Now, Matthew, opinions are still divided, but how good is this team really?
Look, they've had a fantastic start, but to be honest, we're a population of 50 million people, and we economically we are very sound. So we should be qualifying for the Nations Cup on a regular basis. In any case, despite the lack of development, which is virtually non-existent in this country, to be honest. So it's kind of like papering over the cracks at the moment. And I think the true test will be for when they get to Morocco, during the tournament proper next year. But he certainly has, the team and Shakes has certainly brought a smile to the faces of South African football fans.
And how could this momentum be sustained, not just over 2 years, but in the long term?
Yeah, well, I touched on it in my previous answer, and our development system is very, very poor. Our mother body has been absolutely shocking in the management of our youth development. But despite the fact we keep on churning out these rough diamonds, but that's not really good enough when you have to compete with the likes of Ivory Coast and Cameroon and Nigeria and the real powerhouses of Africa. So they've been making some very positive sounds. But in South Africa, we have a problem with implementation, and the fact that we have too many chiefs and not enough Indians. So the sooner we roll up our sleeves and get down to the dirty work and start producing and shaping good young players to be true professionals, the sooner the better.
Matthew, thanks for speaking to Sports News Africa. That was former South African Olympic captain Matthew Booth. Staying with the qualifiers, the Ivory Coast will host the Democratic Republic of Congo in Abidjan on Wednesday, hoping to complete back-to-back wins in the final leg of the two sides' 2015 Africa Cup of Nations Group D qualifying doubleheader. Victory will guarantee the Ivorian national team a top 2 finish and could even mean that they top the group if Cameroon fails to get a win against Sierra Leone again on Saturday. Welcome back to Sports News Africa. Athletics coaches from the eastern and southern parts of Africa are currently in the Kenyan capital Nairobi for a training course by the International Association of Athletics Federations. The training on offer will enable the coaches to transfer those skills onto the athletes once they get back home.
The International Association of Athletics Federation, IAAF, has kicked off a 2-week training course in Nairobi, Kenya for athletics coaches from Eastern and Southern Africa region. The training is focused on level 3 coaches to help them gain international standards and qualifications to enable them to prepare athletes for international events.
Just a presentation for us coaches.
The level 3 course includes tips on middle and long distance running, endurance, arm strength training and maximum sprint speed. IAAF trainer Winfred Spanus from Germany said Kenya has the best conditions for endurance training in athletics.
The weather conditions we're having here, they are perfect. Well, consider Europe, Northern Europe, you got 6 months of, well, snow, maybe rain, or it's pretty cold. The climate is perfect here. It's not too warm. It's getting up to 25, 26 degrees. It cools down at night. It's perfect conditions for all year-round training.
Countries represented in the 2-week course include Tanzania, Uganda, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Malawi, Ethiopia and hosts Kenya. IAAF Regional Director in Kenya, Ibrahim Hussein, said the course was essential for the coaches.
So this course is very important for the coaches. It's where we get the real coaches who train those top athletes. As I was saying, level 1 and 2 is mainly done by national federations, like Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, and those ones are mainly to tap talent and coach the young athletes who are not in world-class level yet. But for any coach who is supposed to be training the top athletes, he must have done level 3, level 4, or level 5 and level 5. So this is a very important entry point for the coaches. And we are fortunate to have this center in Nairobi where we have this activity throughout the year.
Kenya and neighboring Ethiopia are the powerhouses of long-distance running. Hussein alluded the fact that Kenya will remain unbeaten on the track given the country has the perfect conditions for the athletes.
I think Kenya and Ethiopia, because we are neighbors and we share one common thing. We share the Rift Valley and high altitude, which is a secret because most of the coaches of the world, they say they don't believe in high altitude training, and they say, if you talk about high altitude, why don't you go to Himalayas? You go to Mount Everest where it's very high and guys will be running there. But there's a secret, because if you go too high, then it's not good for you. But I think we have perfect height.
Ethiopia and Uganda coaches at the training said it is beneficial to them and will give them skills which they will transfer to athletes in their respective countries.
When we see the standards of, especially in long distance, of course the Kenyans and the Ethiopians are leading. But this is not also, it's not going to be a proud, because the Europeans now, they are doing their assignment. They are coming, you know, we are watching them to come to us. So we Ethiopians and Kenyans, we are expected, especially the coaches, we are expected to work hard in order to bring Africa at the top of level.
I really intend to improve on the the strengthening of the training of the athletes in 800 meters and basically middle and long distance, because that has been the strength part of it, and also the neuro variability was lacking, and now that is the aspect we are getting in this training so much. So we really want to see that it is improved.
Kenya is IAAF's regional hub for African English-speaking countries, and 14 of them are represented at the training.
The Kenyan guy, I remember that race because I was there.
To the Euro 2016 qualifiers next, and things aren't exactly going according to plan for world champions Germany at the moment. John O'Shea celebrated his 100th cap by scoring in the 4th minute of stoppage time to give Ireland a 1-1 draw with Germany, as the hosts suffered another setback in their qualifiers campaign. Earlier in the game, Toni Kroos scored in the second half to put Germany ahead as they sought to bounce back from a loss to Poland. And that's the end of Sports News Africa for today. Join us again tomorrow when we bring you all the latest from Africa and around the world. Bye for now.